When a she-wolf, facing a desperate fate, was rescued by a local community, they had no choice but to place her in the same cage usually occupied by their domesticated German shepherds. As one of the canines approached her with curiosity, the ensuing reaction left everyone in awe, rendering them speechless. Susanna resided with her family in a close-knit community situated on the outskirts of Russia. Despite its small size, the town thrived in self-sufficiency. The residents engaged in fishing and hunting to meet the community's meat requirements, while each household cultivated fresh produce in their gardens for communal sharing. Certain individuals took on the responsibility of tending to smaller animals that proved invaluable to the community's sustenance. Goats provided milk and cheese, while chickens served as a plentiful source of eggs. The system operated smoothly, but there loomed a significant threat that demanded constant vigilance. The community remained wary of the predators lurking just beyond their sight, a pack of wolves known to frequent the vicinity. They had encountered these formidable creatures several times already, particularly when the wolves attempted to prey on their cherished chickens or goats. Naturally, this posed a grave concern for the safety of the young children who roamed about the town. Parents had to remain on guard, well aware that an unexpected wolf attack could endanger their beloved kids. As a form of protection, the hunters would go out and try to intimidate the pack by setting clear markers to scare them away. As a secondary form of protection, that community also had some dogs of their own that helped to protect the land. They opted for German shepherds for their protective instincts. They are brilliant guard dogs, perfect to keep creatures like wild wolves out. They would keep them in an enclosure to protect them, while they were resting at night and during the day. They could leave and roam the town to protect the people. The system worked better than they had expected. It was the solution they had been looking for all along. Of course, it didn't protect the community members who left their hometown to go hunting. On those occasions, they had to be on hike. Alert, the wolf pack was good at following the human scent, knew how to encircle them and attack from all directions. It's truly what made the whole hunting experience quite dangerous. Susanna's husband was part of this crew. Every time they went out for a hunt, she would pray that he came back in one piece. It was all she hoped for. One day he returned safe and sound as usual, but with something she hardly expected at all. Yuri, Susanna's husband, was used to the adrenaline of the hunt. Every time he set out, he knew he just needed to get back to his family. They were so important to him, and the reason behind all his actions that morning was very muggy. A fog had descended on the valley that they lived in. Whilst the fog may have seemed dangerous, it was the perfect condition to hunt in, as it allowed for the humans to get some extra disguise. They set off at dawn, hoping to find some great prey to bring home with them. Little did they know what was awaiting them. They had been out for just over an hour. When Yuri heard something peculiar, it sounded like a darn whimpering, but every time he looked around him, he couldn't see anything at all. However, he couldn't help but feel that he was being watched. He mentioned it to his partner, but he told him it was simply the fog unnerving him. They continued waiting for the ideal prey. When Yuri heard the whimper again, he wondered if they were perhaps close to a wolf den without realizing it, and started to look over his shoulder at close intervals. After a few hours of hearing this whimper, Yuri had had enough. He was determined to find out where the sound was coming from. Even if that meant blowing his cover, he got up and began to trace the sound. The lack of visibility made this challenging, of course, and before he knew it, he had stumbled right on his intended target. He tripped over what seemed like a body on the trail whipping around. He looked to see what it was when he realized the hair on the back of his neck shot right up. He swung his gun around to face the creature and waited to see what it was going to do. He had inadvertently stumbled upon a wolf, and a big one at that, lying across the path. He waited to see what the wolf would do, but it simply just lay there, calming himself down a little. Yuri tried to listen to his surroundings around him. Over the heartbeat in his ears, that's when he heard it. The wolf was the one whimpering based on its actions. Yuri couldn't help but feel that the creature in front of him posed no threat. There had to be something wrong with it. He swung his gun back into the holster and began to approach the beast to investigate what was wrong with it. The wolf hardly moved and let the human come closer. Yuri looked all over its body and found that it had been shot by someone. Its fur was covered in rocky debris, which told him it must have fallen down the nearby cliff after being shot. The poor animal was suffering terribly. Yuri made up his mind there, and then regardless of how everyone felt about the predators, he needed to help this one. Even though they were hunters in their community, they didn't believe in shooting animals that didn't serve a purpose to their survival. He slowly picked up the injured wolf and put it over his shoulder. He shouted to his partner that he was going to be making his way back to camp. He knew his wife would know exactly what to do to help the poor creature. When Susanna laid eyes on her husband emerging from the bus line with a wolf over his shoulder, she was astounded. She blinked repeatedly, doubting her own eyesight as she absorbed the scene before her. As Yuri approached within earshot, she anxiously inquired about the situation. He swiftly explained and implored her to help the distressed creature without hesitation. She began examining the wolf's injuries, promptly extracting the bullet and tending to the wound. Apart from a broken leg, the animal appeared to be in relatively good condition, requiring only nourishment and a secure haven to recover. Naturally, the entire town was deeply concerned about having a wolf in such close proximity to them and their children. Susanna and Yuri acknowledged their worries but sought a viable solution. If the townspeople were uncomfortable with the wolf being housed in their own dwelling during recuperation, where else could it go? That's when the community members reached a collective decision to place the she-wolf in the enclosure typically reserved for the German shepherds. Meanwhile, the dogs would remain confined within their respective houses, ensuring the wolf had a safe space to heal. While maintaining a distance from humans, this arrangement thrilled the children in the community, who relished the prospect of endless sleepovers with their beloved pets. It proved to be a mutually beneficial situation, yet nobody anticipated the response of the German shepherds. 2 weeks swiftly passed. The dogs rested in different homes while the she-wolf recovered. However, one day they were met with an extraordinary sight that filled them with concern. During the night, a German shepherd had managed to enter the enclosure, driven by curiosity about the nearby wolf. The dog had dug a trench under the fence and was found sitting alongside the wolf, engaging in mutual exploration. Yuri approached cautiously, ready to intervene if needed, but to his surprise, they seemed to be getting along fine. As the day progressed, it became evident that these two canines were developing a genuine friendship. By day's end, the astonishing scene left everyone in disbelief. In front of their eyes, a German shepherd and a wild she-wolf frolicked like playful puppies. They leaped and tumbled in joyful camaraderie. Yuri and his friends could only laugh, amazed by this unlikely bond. The she-wolf had even embraced her newfound domesticity, showering affection upon the townspeople and integrating herself into the dog community that resided in the area. All of this was made possible by Yuri, who had given her a second chance at life. The German shepherd, in turn, had found a new companion to frolic with, solidifying an extraordinary partnership. Can you imagine such a scenario unfolding? Would you have extended your assistance to the injured wolf from the very beginning? We'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this matter. Please feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below.